Hi kids. Okay, so today I'm going to go over how to draw some facial features with some shading. And before I do, I want to make it completely clear that these are stylized examples of eyes, nose, and mouth. And in doing so, they represent an eye, a nose, or a mouth. But when you're drawing someone, you really have to spend a lot of time looking at the person, because this eye, this nose, and this mouth won't be the right one for them. It's just a symbol. So I'm going to do a female and a male version of each. There are subtle differences to both, and I'm only using pencil today, and I'll be blending and erasing. So I'll be adding some value by shading with my pencil, and then I'll be adding highlights with erasing. I'm going to start with the eye. So I'll put a female eye here and a male eye here. So for everybody's eye, we have an upper and lower lid, and the tear duct sits on the inside towards the nose. So the eye shape is going to include the tear duct where the nose would sit. And now the eyelid sometimes has a crease, it sometimes doesn't, and then no two eyes are the same. So for example, one of my eyelids has a crease, a single crease, and the other one has like an additional crease up here, like a little two. And then the eyebrow is going to be thicker towards the nose and kind of taper its way out. Now there's all kinds of tricks to where the top of the eyebrow should be, and lining up to a nostril, and this lining up to that. And while all of that is, again, just generally speaking, everybody is different. So for the female, the eyebrow tends to be thinner and have a little bit of a higher arch than the male. Now, for the iris and the pupil, you would have to work really hard to get your whole iris, that's the colored part of your eye, to show. You'd have to open your eyes really wide. Typically, you don't see all of it at once. It is a circle, but it's hidden up under the eyelid. Your pupil is the black center part. It's actually a hole, and only black because you're seeing back into the dark recesses of your skull, kind of, of your eye cavity. And then you might have a little highlight area on it, or even two, depending on how many light sources you have. And then this is the part that would have the color. Now, because this is, kind of like a meaty, it's skin, it's thicker. It's going to create a shadow across the eye. And then this is also going to have a shadow where the crease is at its most extreme. So I'm going to start to put some of my shadows in and blend. Drawing every hair is a bad idea, and that's the same for the eyebrow. And it's also really the same for the eyelashes. One thing that young people tend to do is give a female too many extreme eyelashes. I'm not saying the eyelashes aren't visible, but they're just not quite so extreme. So you might have something a little bit more like this. The other thing people tend to do is they think that the white of your eye is white, but really it's not, except for the areas that are in highlight. So there's a lot of shadow across the eye. Okay, I think you have the idea. Now, for the male eye, the eyebrow is going to be a little thicker, and sometimes sits a little lower. My husband has a ton of eyelashes. Like, I don't understand his eyelashes. They are so long and full. But sometimes men are shown with fewer eyelashes, or at least less pronounced. But their eye shape is going to be essentially the same. So you'll have the upper lid, the tear duct, the iris is hidden partially up under the lid, the pupil will have an area of highlight, this will have shadow across it, now this area under the eye, like, think of it as like a bag under the eye if it's pronounced, is just part of the, you know, the kind of soft tissue around the eye that protects it. And this whole thing is rounded. So this area, excuse me, and this area are more in shadow because they're more recessed. And then this is part of what comes out with your eyeball, which is, you know, of course, a rounded shape. And students, the males do have eyelashes. Like, you know, it keeps the dirt out of their eyes the same as everybody else. Okay, so hopefully this is helpful with the male and female eye. I will move on to the male and female nose, which are very similar, and then lips. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, so let's talk about the nose. This is just going to be a forward-facing nose tutorial. We can certainly do more. You know, side view and three-quarter view are both really useful. But for the female nose from the front, real easy way to do this is just to show the nostrils like this. And then the only dark part that really is on the nose is here. And then you would have some shadow here where the sides of the nostrils touch the face. Now, if you want to shade more, you can kind of work your way here, and this would be up to the eyes, right, sides of the eyes. And kind of very gently shade these areas in, and then of course you'll use your eraser to pull back out any highlights that you want to keep. because the bridge of the nose sort of gets closer to the face here, the shadow is going to be softer through this area than it will be here. It will sort of form a V, because here is the furthest point from the face, and the shadow is going to be the most extreme. And so it's not spread out as far. You get the idea. I could probably do this all day. Okay, now for the male nose, it's very similar. You're just going to show a little bit more kind of angular sections through the bridge of the nose. So you'll still have this shape. But you'd have a slightly more angular bridge. And again, this is stylized. You will have to really look at the person that you are trying to draw to see what their nose looks like, because this is just a nose. It is really not their nose. And if you go giving everybody the same nose, then you will manage to have it not look like anyone. All right, now if I want to put a mouth under these, there's going to be a section here where the two parts of the lips come together. You know, we grow together like this, interestingly. And then you'll have the top lip, the bottom lip, and then a shaded area below the chin. The female chin is more of a rounded, gentle chin, and the male chin is going to be more of an angular chin. We'll go over that in a second. So for the mouth, what you really see the most for the mouth are the shadowed areas, and that's going to be where the two lips meet. And then under the bottom lip. And if you leave it like that, you have the idea of lips. if you put the shadow on the top lip, you can see that it has a darker shadow where they meet and then a slightly darker shadow on either side of this center. Now, for the bottom lip, the darkest is through the middle, and the highlights would fall on the outsides. So let me get this highlight. You can put a little bit of the lines in the mouth. You don't need a lot of these. They can become very overwhelming very fast. Okay. Now, male lips are very similar. Sometimes they are shown as a little thinner and a little wider spread. So you would still have just the center line for the most shadow. That might be a little too high. And then, of course, if they have some kind of facial hair, there's a good chance that it, blocks some of this if it hangs down, if it's a mustache. You can certainly work that in. And then we have this indentation before the chin. Okay, so for the lady's jawline, it's going to come down gentle to about here. And for the gentleman's jawline, his lips, he's got an interesting expression. So you can make this a little bit more angular. It would be straight across the bottom, and then it can angle up. And then that jaw would have an angle there and go up to the side of the face. All right, so kids, I hope this is helpful. You can probably see that I love working on this kind of stuff, and I could do it all day, but I have to go back to my other job of teaching you live. So I will talk to you soon. And students, if you like doing this kind of stuff, of course, we can go over this a lot more because there's a lot more to cover and a lot more to learn. All right, talk to you soon.